Welcome to the speaking portion of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. May I see your identification?
Yes, here, this is the passport that I use for my registration for this exam.
Thank you.
The IELTS examiner is assessing every candidate from the beginning. You need a strong first impression. Here, the examiner is thinking, good vocabulary, good content, but the candidate should not be getting stuck saying for my registration. So more fluency is highly recommended for a Band 9.
And what is your full name?
My given name are Juliana Eloá and my family name is Oliveira, but you can call me Ju.
Okay, Ju.
Ju does a great job introducing herself, but she must pay more attention to enunciating the S sound for plurals. My given names are. This is very important for that Band 9.
Here's your identification back. I'm going to record this for marking purposes. The speaking has 3 parts. I will give you instructions for each. To begin, for part 1, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. Where do you live?
I live in Santa Teresa area of Rio de Janeiro in a 2-bedroom apartment on the 5th floor with my siblings and family.
In this question, Ju reaches the Band 9 level by describing very specifically and fluently where she lives, the city, the residence, even using numbers to describe the size of her apartment.
What helps you to relax?
Well, when I'm worn out, I like to listen music, some R&R, and when I feel a bit more energetic, I like to go out with my friends to dance.
Ju uses good natural language to paraphrase her response by saying, when I feel worn out. It means tired. However, she does make some small mistakes, like forgetting to say the preposition to. I like to listen to music. Her band level is at least an 8 here, but she does have to pay more attention to having accurate grammar.
Let's talk about the news. How often do you read the news?
Now with the economic and health crisis going on, I like to read the news at least 3 or 4 times a day.
Ju clearly answers and explains how often she reads the news, 3 or 4 times a day, because of the economic and health crisis. However, she could give a more fluent answer by including an example, like reading an article about the inflation worldwide. This would help to increase her fluency and coherence mark.
Where do you get the latest news from?
Mostly through my mobile apps. For current affairs, I use Brazil News or BBC apps.
In this case, Ju answers the question and gives an example, but here she's missing the explanation. She gives the example of Brazil News or BBC News, but she neglects to explain to the examiner why she uses apps to get the current news, such as it is convenient and easy to access, it's cheap or free. It's answers, explanations with examples that get the highest scores, the Band 9.
What kind of news do you like?
I really like entertainment and economics because I like to know about the events going on around me and as well investment opportunities. And I like as well to read sports news, especially tennis. And just yesterday I was reading about Tesla incredible growth for the past few months.
Ju answers this question at a Band 9 level. She gives multiple types of news which she enjoys reading. She explains the reasons and even includes the example of reading about Tesla's growth. It's this type of fluency and detail that is considered an expert user of the English language by the examiner.
When do you like to research the news?
I like to read the news, especially in the morning when I'm eating my breakfast, and in the evening while I'm going to the bed. These I can see the events or see the news that may impact my life.
The start of this answer is quite good with a conditional. I like to read the news in the morning when I'm eating my breakfast. However, the second half of this response is quite confusing. These I can see the events doesn't make much sense to a listener in this case. And it's these types of coherence mistakes that must be avoided to get high band scores. If you're not making sense, stop and rephrase yourself.
If you could change one thing about the news media, what would that be?
I think I would change the overbearing amount of negative news in the media. I would put more positive news because I think the media is only showing war and illness and is not very optimistic for society.
Zhu does a good job with the answer to this question, stating that she would include more positive news in the media and have less negative news. However, she misses the conditional component of the response. The question's asking if you had the chance. In this case, for a Band 8, Band 9 score, she should include the condition in her answer. Given the chance to change any part of the news, I would. Make sure to reflect the complete grammar of the question for those high band scores.
Have the way people followed the news changed in the last 20 years? And is that good or bad?
For sure, it changed. Before, people used to follow up the news by newspapers or television, and now everybody is using the mobile apps, and it's good because it's online news, so people can be up to date with all the information going on.
Zhu makes the same mistake with this answer as with the previous. She does not correctly reflect the grammar of the question. This question is in present perfect. Have the way people followed the news changed in recent years? She uses wrong grammar by saying that, yeah, for sure it changed. This is incorrect grammar, it's confusing, and it is not present perfect. This would be a Band 6. You must reflect the grammar of the questions, whether conditional or present perfect, and it must be accurate for that Band 9.
That's the end of part 1. Now for part 2. Here's a card with some questions. Don't turn that over yet. Here's note paper and a pencil. You will have 1 minute to look at the questions on the card. Think about your answers. You can take notes in that 1 minute if you'd wish. And then you will have 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop.
Okay.
Your 1 minute preparation time begins. Now go ahead, turn over the card. We can score your IELTS Speaking Section Part 2 for free. Simply send us an MP3 recording to this email address, and we will send you back a band score estimate. This will help you know where you stand and what you need to do to improve. If you like to practice speaking, make sure to click on the Speaking Interview Practice yellow button in your My Student account at aehelp.com. Now, let's continue with the interview and lesson. Zhu, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
So my dad, Luciano, is the hardest working person that I know. He's 182 centimeters tall, and he's always wearing a charismatic smile. He is not only a successful businessman, but he also mentions his own financial firm. He started to build his company when I was just a baby, and he's been dedicated to it ever since. Currently, he has 8 employees who he manages around the clock, not to mention a dozen of high-profile clients who manages their wealth through my father's efforts. My father wakes up every day at 6 and he keeps going into midnight. He works 10 to 12 hours in his company's move operation, and the rest of the time he spends with us, his family, and his friends. I think he likes to work so hard because he's proud of his achievements, and not to mention his clients that are really happy. He established a really happy family and comfortable with luxury. And every year he takes us, me and my family, to a holiday around the world. Last year we went to Bahamas, and it was really nice to spend this time with my father.
Okay, that's the end of part 2. I'll take back the note paper and the pencil and the card as well. Thank you.
Zhu delivers a Band 8 level performance for this cue card. She clearly answers the question of a person she knows who is a hard worker, her father. She has excellent structure, first introducing a little bit about his appearance. This way, the examiner can picture her dad. Then she explains why he is a hard worker. He is building his company and he is proud of his work. However, she does make some grammatical mistakes that are awkward and a little bit difficult to comprehend. Like when she says, he established a happy family and comfortable with luxury. This doesn't make much sense. She should be saying he has established not only a successful business, but also a happy family that lives a life of comfort and luxury. Nevertheless, she's done a good job before moving on to part 3.
And now we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about doing work. What kinds of jobs are challenging to do?
There are multitude of jobs that are challenging to do. Some demands of physical skills and other mental skills as well. So it's really hard, like policemen, lawyers, businessmen like my father.
Get many more useful video lessons like this one. Join our premium IELTS package. Use this code to get a 10% discount. Click the link in the video description. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Begin learning for success today. Zhu does a good job answering and explaining that certain jobs require physical skills while others require mental skills. She also does a great job connecting to her previous part 2, stating that her father's job as a businessman requires a lot of mental skills. However, she does need to spend some time on pronunciation so that others can clearly and easily understand her. It's difficult, for instance, to understand when she's using the word multitude. This is also made more difficult by her confidence. She lacks confidence at some parts of her response, and this demands more attention from the examiner. Confidence and pronunciation are important for clarity.
Which of these is the most challenging and why?
The one that comes to my mind is an astronaut because they required both physical and mental skills.
This is a good example of a Band 9 level response. Here, Zhu is confident, fluent, with clear, accurate pronunciation, grammar, and high-level vocabulary, stating that the job of an astronaut requires both physical and mental skills.
What motivates people to be hardworking?
Some people are motivated with self-fulfillment and money. I mean, there are some people that really love their job, like doctors healing patients. But of course, there are some people that is motivated about earning money, like making millions of dollars.
This would be an example of a Band 7, 5, or 8 response. She clearly answers the question and gives reasons for why people are motivated to work. However, she does make some awkward mistakes, such as stating people that is motivated instead of people that are motivated. It's very important that the singular or plural form of the be verb is accurate.
What can companies do to motivate employees to put a lot of effort into their jobs?
I think paying the employees fairly, as well organizing team building exercise like obstacle challenge. My father, he does that in his company, and is a very effective way of motivating the employees.
Notice again how well Zhu ties in her response to part 2, stating that her father motivates his employees by taking them on obstacle course challenges. She makes a couple of slight pauses and corrects herself, but this is absolutely okay. It's considered a natural part of language. So this response would get a high score. Again, it's important to connect and relate your answers.
How do hardworking employees benefit the company?
The hard work employees, they can grow along the company, and they can bring incentives like the money besides the company.
This is a very low scoring response, a band 4 or 5, because it is riddled with grammatical and pronunciation mistakes that make comprehension almost impossible. Zhu really needs to rethink this answer. What she is trying to say is that hardworking employees bring many benefits to a company, such as increasing the company's value, while also growing and developing along with the business.
Let's talk about work attitude. What kind of attitude is merit in the work environment?
Being optimistic and friendly, because in these environments they required a lot of team working, so it's really important.
Zhu is again lacking confidence in her response. Even though she has a good answer, she is not confident in what she is saying, and because of this, she's making more grammatical mistakes. This is severely impacting her overall score. It's extremely important that you are confident in what you say.
What types of attitudes are negative?
Being lazy for sure, because if the employee is being lazy, he's not being productive for the company.
Suddenly, Zhu is very confident in her response. In fact, she states being lazy for sure. Now she's much more fluent and accurate with her grammar. It's very clear to see the difference between confident and not confident answers. Make sure to be confident from start to finish.
Some societies believe that the customer is always right. Why do some societies support this belief?
Because the customer are the one spending his money, and so this money is the money that makes the business grow, so they can spread the word to other clients, and the word to mouth is very important.
Zhu does a fairly good job answering this question at about a band level 6.5. It is comprehensible, however, she does make grammatical mistakes at the start, and she uses some awkward expressions, such as word to mouth instead of saying word of mouth. Make sure that if you are using idioms or expressions, you are using them correctly. Otherwise, they can be very confusing.
Do you agree with this idea that the customer is always right? Why or why not?
Yes, definitely. I think business that don't follow this golden rule, they are gonna break in a few years, and the business that follow this can attract a lot of clients.
Zhu does a good job of picking one side and explaining it clearly, that she agrees with the statement that the customer is always right. It is not a good idea to answer as "it depends," because those usually lead to confusing responses. So pick one side and explain it clearly. Also, it's important to have good word choice. Here, Zhu makes the mistake of stating that businesses will break instead of using the word will go bankrupt or will go out of business. Make sure to choose the right words.
What kinds of attitudes are important, especially for managers in the workplace?
I think for managers, the importance is to be friendly but assertive.
Again, a good answer about a band 6 to 7, but not a band 8 or 9. A band 8 or 9 answer would sound like this: I think it is important for managers to be both friendly and assertive. Here, Zhu incorrectly uses the connective but, because being friendly and assertive are complementary, not contradictory. Make sure to use the right connectives.
Why?
Because they need to monitor the employee closely but also be organized.
Zhu is again using the wrong connective but. She should use and. The managers need to monitor their employees closely and be organized.
That's the end of part 3. That concludes the speaking portion of the exam. You will have your mark in about 2 weeks' time with the other sections. Remember your passport and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Considering every response that Zhu has given in part 1, 2, and 3, she would likely score a band 7 for this speaking interview. Although some of her answers reach a band 9 level, there are some responses that make coherence quite difficult, and these really pull down the overall achievement. Make sure to be confident from start to finish. Pay attention to your word choice. If you find yourself making a mistake, stop and correct yourself. Then you will get the highest score possible. Good luck the next time you sit your IELTS exam.
Subscribe to our channel. Click over here. Watch another video. Click right up here. And click our IELTS Hero to join our premium package and get access to all of our videos, practice exams, and a fully interactive course.